For most of you, fear on some level is holding you back. Yes, on one hand, you want to find success as a screenwriter, but it quickly becomes scary. You may have to learn things that you don't know, you might have to unlearn things and relearn them, because what you thought was right, you've come to discover isn't. You might have to change as a person to become the screenwriter that you want to be, and that requires a bit of sacrifice, and it can be hard. And for a whole lot of you, the thing you're going to have to give up is your pride. Thinking you know it all, that you've got it all figured out, or that maybe you're just good enough to just Lone Ranger the whole thing and do it on your own without anyone's help, forgetting that even Lone Ranger had Tonto. Eleanor Roosevelt is credited with this question: what would you do if you knew you would not fail? And the implication here is that most of us don't achieve our full potential because we're afraid. And I don't want you to be afraid. I want you to make your audience feel the emotion of fear. That's a key storytelling component. But you should not let fear paralyze you. You have stories inside of you that only you can tell. But to tell them, you have to push through the fear. So I'm going to give you 3 things to consider, and hopefully they will help you break through whatever fears you have and put you on a path where you can find the success you're looking for. And the third one is my favorite. The first thing to help you break through your writing fears is imagine what success looks like for you. Now, this doesn't mean you should begin writing any acceptance speech. Of course, I'd like to thank the Academy for deeming me worthy enough to receive this coveted award, and I couldn't have done it without the support of... That is not what I mean. And is it bad to think about accolades and such? Well, no. For some of you that matters, others of you it doesn't matter at all. But just like a story is about someone who wants something badly, is having trouble getting it, and they get it or they don't, let's assume you get it. But what is it? What is the measurable, tangible thing that has to happen for you to know you found the success that you're looking for? How will you know you've made it as a screenwriter? Maybe it's winning a contest, maybe it's being able to pitch on a new project, maybe it's seeing your second film on screen, because that will help you know the first one wasn't just a fluke. Maybe it's clearing $100K in your bank, or something like that. Those are the accolades, but while they can help you imagine what success looks like, I want you to think differently. I want you to think deeper. And the reason is, if you're just doing this wonderful craft of screenwriting for an accolade or for money, even if you get it, it's going to feel empty. Because now, why write the next one or the one after that? You'll just get the accolade and stop. So what if your view of success was more related to your growth as a screenwriter? And before you dismiss that thought out of hand, consider something Kobe Bryant lived out. Now, admittedly, I'm not much of a basketball fan, but I am a fan of people who excel at their craft, and sport is a craft, just like screenwriting. It's never perfected, only improved upon. And in an interview, Kobe was asked which he thought was more important, to play to win or to play to not lose. And Kobe replied, neither. That for him, he viewed every practice and every game in the same way. An opportunity to improve, an opportunity to learn how to be better. And the outcome didn't matter for individual games, but the cumulative effect was that if he was always improving, if he was always helping his team improve, that even if they lost a game, they got better overall. And if you are learning and improving at a faster rate than everyone else, eventually you're going to be at the top of the mountain. So what if you viewed every scene you wrote, every character you created, every sequence you figured out, every script you finished as opportunities to learn, as opportunities to get better? Not to just finish a script, not to just win an accolade, but to get better. And if you begin to imagine improvement in the craft as success, you begin to focus on the things that you need to focus on. You begin to become the writer you want to become as a result of the actions you're taking. And then, even if you win that award or that accolade or cash that check or not, you aren't doing it for those things. You're doing it to get better, and you'll want the next script to reflect the new things that you're learning. And chances are, it's going to be good too. So don't be afraid of the end game, whatever you might imagine. You aren't even going to be dealing with the next script yet. You're only dealing with what's in front of you right now. And what can you do to make it better? Dealing with one scene, that's not scary. A whole script feels scary, especially if you've never finished one before. But one scene, one character, one act, you can find success and learn from those. And then it's not you trying to write some awesome screenplay, putting all that pressure on. It's just you applying what you've learned and looking for opportunities to learn more in the next script you write. And awards and accolades, they are a byproduct of your improvement. They should not be the goal. So when you imagine success, imagine it in terms of improving in the craft of screenwriting, and that takes a lot of fear out of the picture. A second way to shove away fear is to separate yourself from your writing. So the struggle is this: we write a story, we pour ourselves into it, it's our story. But when someone critiques or criticizes the story, we internalize it as critiques or criticisms of us as writers or as people. So let me try to be very clear, and this is something every writer has to learn if you want to make a go of a screenwriting career. You are not your writing. Sometimes, honestly, the script is just bad. That doesn't mean you're bad. It doesn't even mean that you're a bad writer. It means that in that instance, that story and that storytelling, it just isn't working, and it's bad. And until you learn that you are not your writing, you will always take things personally. You'll get angry at contest readers or at anyone you submit your stuff to if they don't spark to it because they just don't get you. They've rejected you. That's what you're thinking, when in reality, they've merely rejected your screenplay. And maybe it just wasn't for them. Maybe they just didn't like it. Maybe they have an idea similar to yours already under contract. Or maybe they didn't like it because your main character has the same name as their ex. Okay, who knows why they don't like it? But it's not a rejection of you. If you can't learn to separate yourself from your script, every rejection, every criticism, every note is one you're going to take personally. And that hurts. And we don't like to get hurt. And because we don't like to get hurt, it makes us wary of submitting our stuff. We're even scared to submit a query letter because, what if they reply, "That's the stupidest idea for a movie I've ever heard." And so you don't seek out feedback or even try to submit your work, all because of fear of being criticized. So here's the deal. Your work is going to be criticized, 100%. It's going to happen every time. But are you going to learn to separate yourself from your writing? Because you are not your script. And no one hits a home run every time. You're going to write some scripts that suck. It's going to happen. Actually, this past week, I was looking at a script that I wrote 10 years ago. I didn't think it was that long, but it was 10 years ago. Now, I remember that script being awesome, and I was super proud of it at the time. Nothing ended up happening with that project. It didn't move forward. And I thought, okay, it's been a while. Maybe it's time to revisit it. And I'll just do a quick read through and see if I can maybe do a quick polish. And holy cow, it was so bad. I know why people didn't spark to it, even though I had a producer attached. I was getting meetings with TV executives as a result. The idea was good. The execution, I kind of dialed up a lemon on that one. And because I'm just wanting to get better, when I read it, I could clearly see where it wasn't working. So you aren't going to have a great script every time. You're just not. That doesn't mean that you can't be a good writer or that you're not a good writer. Learn to separate yourself from your writing, because if you don't, when you get notes back on your scripts, you'll be sulking in the corner crying because you're going to take those notes personally. And you may stop trying to get your stuff out there, and that would be a shame. Strategy 3, which of these strategies, as I've mentioned earlier, is my favorite by far, for overcoming fear and finding the success you're looking for, is from a saying that, as far as I know, is attributed to the U.S. Navy SEALs. It's been adopted by many Special Forces units throughout the world, and the saying is this: slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. And what this means is to focus on accuracy over speed. In other words, focus on doing things right and avoiding little mistakes that add up over time and ultimately cause you to take a lot longer. Operating smoothly, intentionally, with focus, reduces mistakes and ultimately makes you faster. It's also a call to not panic or rush, regardless of what is going on around you. Keep a level head. Make a wise decision smoothly instead of rushing off in the wrong direction. Now, how this translates to screenwriting, you can probably extrapolate for other areas of your life. How it works for screenwriting is a lot of writers want to just jump into writing the script. That's the fun part. Writing dialogue and scenes and action set pieces, that's all fun, but you spend 3 months writing a script and it's now 183 pages and you've only now figured out your story. Now you know what the story is. So now you think that you know your story, you start over and you get partway through that draft, so you're another 30, 40 pages in, you partway through and you realize you've forgotten a key component that basically changes everything. So now you start over again, and now you're 6 months down the road, starting a brand new draft with over 200 pages of writing that you really can't use, and by the time you finish a script, it's 9 months, maybe 12 months after you first started writing the script. Whereas the slow is smooth screenwriter takes time to figure out just the log line. How would I pitch this? How would I even communicate this idea to somebody else? Is it marketable in and of itself? Because why spend time writing a screenplay that no one wants to read? That's a waste of time. And then the slow is smooth writer works out a detailed outline, and maybe it takes them a month, but they know they have a solid story. And they may be 6 weeks in at this point, and they haven't written a single word of the script. And then they begin writing their draft. And they get all the way to the end, and it only requires a few changes and modifications, and they make some easy revisions, and now they have a solid story and usable script, and they're only 9 or 12 weeks into it, as opposed to the writer who just jumps in, starts writing, and is 9 or 12 months into it without anything solid to show for it yet. So which is faster? The writer who just jumps in and tries to figure it out in the writing, or the writer who is intentional and works through the process in a smooth manner? Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. And knowing how to be smooth in the writing process is what allows you to ultimately be fast and to not have any fear. Because if you just keep a level head and you know what works and you know how to do it smoothly, okay, what do you have to be afraid of? You know you're going to have a solid script in a few months, and then you can repeat the process and the fear goes away because you know how to do what you need to do. Now, I have resources linked below that can help you with overcoming these fears, and the one that helps with all three is the Fast Track course, which teaches you all the things you need to know, gives you opportunities to practice them slowly, so that with practice and muscle memory, you're going to be super fast. In fact, if you got on the Fast Track and another writer about your same skill or knowledge level decides to go it on their own, you would find success exponentially faster than they would if you apply the story and storytelling concepts. They're off writing a script. You're focusing on things that you need to learn. So if you want to be like a Navy SEAL, go the smooth route and get on the fast track. And if you're just wanting to figure out where you're at as a screenwriter on the skill and knowledge scale and to assess yourself, all you got to do, watch this. Thank you for watching. Fun buttons and links below. It really does help if you interact in some way. And when you tell a story, don't let fear keep you where you are. Tell a story that matters. See you later.